Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. There's a request for du'as. Brother Dawood's father-in-law, Brother Farid, is currently ill. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant him a speedy recovery, grant him shifa' kamil ajil da'im mustamir, and make it easy on him. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Bismillah walhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala Sayyidil Anbiya wal Mursaleen. Wa ba'd. We've been discussing the decision-making process. And there are 3 steps in making a decision. The first is to analyze the pros and cons from a Sharia perspective. And the second step is to make mashwara. We live in a society which privileges and prizes individualism, where the decisions that I make are solely my own. I don't need somebody else's input. However, from an Islamic perspective, making mashwara and consulting with one another really puts barakah in our decisions. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about the Sahaba and He says, وَأَمْرُهُمْ شُورَى بَيْنَهُمْ. That if you want to describe the Sahaba, whenever they want to do something, they make mashwara with one another. Now, when we make mashwara, when we make shura, we ask for advice, there are a few conditions. The first condition is you go with an open heart and open mind. We don't ask mashwara with our mindset already. I'm thinking about where to go and study. I'm thinking about where to relocate. And I tell myself, all right, I'm already fixed that I want to do this. I want to ask my friend what he thinks so that he can confirm my own bias. They call it confirmation bias. We don't want to do that. When you want to make mashwara, you make mashwara with an open mind without telling the person, oh, I have these 2 decisions, I really want to do this, this is my best interest, and you give a whole list of why you want that one. Obviously that person's going to feel pressured. So the first condition for proper mashwara is having an objective, open mind. The second is to ask people who have nasiha, nusх, your best interest in mind, but have the relevant information. If I'm going to be doing mashwara with someone about whether relocating to X community is good for my iman, then if I ask my random friend who doesn't know anything about these things, he's not going to give me proper advice. I need to go to somebody who understands the Sharia, has a Shari'i mindset, but also knows the situation at hand. He will say, you know what, I lived there for some time, it's actually very good for you, the masjid is walking distance, there are these community. Now I know why I'm making mashwara. So it's very important that when we make mashwara, number 1, we go with an open mind, and number 2, whatever mashwara we make, we go to the expert, we go to someone who has our well-wishing in mind. Mashwara shouldn't just be an excuse. I have a really good friend who would give me whatever I want to say, whatever I want to hear, he will say it. That's not what I want to hear. I want to hear something that it may hurt me, may be bitter, but it's beneficial for me. That's mashwara. And the third and final advice about mashwara, and it's very important, is mashwara is not binding. Sometimes I'm very scared that if I go to my parents and ask them, what is your mashwara on a matter, that now I've taken mashwara, I have to listen to them. No. Mashwara means you take everyone's opinion and now you have more clarity on a subject. Sometimes people shy away from doing shura because they feel now they're obligated to accept that advice. There's a difference between making somebody my amir, somebody whose words I'm taking, to the point, versus I just want your thoughts on the matter. And that's why it's important, if somebody comes to me for mashwara, and I give them mashwara, shura, and they don't act on it, I should not feel offended. Because I'm just offering advice. Offering advice. So 3 conditions we mentioned. 1, objective mind. 2, go to somebody who has the relevant knowledge. 3, whenever you do ask this mashwara, remember, mashwara is something of amana. That's why the 4th condition, very important, is if somebody comes to me or I go to somebody for mashwara, it is a point of amana. If somebody comes to me and says, oh, by the way, I got this job opportunity. What do you think about it? It's amana. Al-mustasharu mu'taman. I can't just go somewhere else and now tell everybody what this person has been talking about. So again, there's a lot with mashwara. We shouldn't take it for granted. There's barakah in mashwara. This is the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ and the sunnah of the Sahaba. So let's try to bring it back into our lives, where whatever matter we do, we involve our family, we involve the relevant parties, so that Allah puts barakah in whatever decision we make. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make mashwara a part of our lifestyle. Inshallah, ameen ya rabbil alameen. Inshallah, after the remaining sunan, we will have our weekly hadith session. We used to do it on Tuesdays. Now we're going to be doing it on Mondays from this week onward. Jazakumullah khairan.